we talk about all these things that's going on in the music industry, whether it's AI, whether it's not being money in the music industry, whether it's different distribution services and how people are getting along with that, the oversaturation with music, the list goes on and on.
Correct.
What do you...
Hold on. Time out. Everyone cannot be an artist. It's okay. I'm all for expression. We're all for expression. He talks music.
Yeah.
That means he has to listen to a bunch of music. I'm talented one's media. Everyone ain't talented. And everyone's not talented in the sense of music.
Yeah.
We need more doctors, we need more nurses, we need more engineers. I say that, not just sound engineers, real engineers. Only reason why I had to stop you and say that is because we talked off air. I think the people would love to hear this. We listen to a lot of music. Everyone can't make it.
Everyone can't make it, and that's a good. It's a cold way to say it, but sometimes you need that cold truth. And you're absolutely right that everyone isn't talented at making music. Everyone isn't talented at making an artist. So I guess before we get into any advice for upcoming artists, I guess it's to, one, find out if you're talented. Find out if your music is actually good. And sometimes you can't do that by just showing it to your friends and family because they love you and they support you. You may have to do an open mic. You may have to ask some strangers on the street. But before you even...
Send it to me. I will be honest with you. Send it.
You'll be honest?
Oh yeah, if you send it to me, and not even in an
and if you send it to you and ask, obviously, yeah. If they're sending it to you, they're asking. I listen to music all the time that's not good, and I'm not honest about it. But most of the people I don't know, I'm not dishonest. I'm not dishonest. I'm just not saying anything at all.
Well,
but
I think there's a not a-hole way you can go about it. It's just like, hey, like the structure of the song is not well. Or like, hey, like, I get what you're trying to talk about. I don't think you're going about it the correct way. There's constructive criticism, and then if there's like an obvious, there's nothing to work with here.
I was just about to say, yeah, because that's different. That person should still be an artist. They just may need some time, because I can see the potential in artists too, being like, okay, this is good, but it's just A, B, C, D needs to be done.
Right.
But obviously, like you were saying, there's also people who you might want to call it quits.
You might want to call, and you know what? There's business people in the music industry. There's accountants that for music. There is literally so many marketing, sales. You know what I'm saying? Street teams. You know, like all these venues need people to work at them.
Yeah,
and that's around music. Everybody's not meant to be. Half of y'all would hate being artists. Half of y'all don't like talking to people. You don't like networking. Half of y'all would hate a press run.
Yeah.
Y'all would hate a press run. Imagine catching a flight. It sounds great, right? But imagine catching a flight and you got to do 10 interviews in the span of 4 hours. Different radio stations. You just doing here. Half of y'all would hate that. Y'all don't like talking to people. It is, like I said, them iPad kids, go touch some grass. I'm playing. But like just but in general, what I'm saying is like, I think a lot of people see the luxuries and the fame and certain money and this, that, and third from being an artist, but they don't see the grunt work. And you and I have both talked to a bunch of artists. And bro, when you look at them sometimes, guess what they are? They tired.
Yeah, they are tired.
They tired.
They tired. But it also gonna be the dream for some people.
Amen. I'm not killing you.
If I was, I would love to be an artist. I think I would enjoy the lifestyle of an artist outside of, if I'm trying to raise a family and be an artist, I could see that strain. But just as far as the tour life and the press run life, I would enjoy it. So I think other people would maybe enjoy it too.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, yes. Step one, you have to be talented.
Ones.
You said what?
Ones.
Yes. You said ones? What you mean?
I made a little pun for those who caught that. You said they got to be talented. I just said ones after that.
Oh, talented ones. You feel me, T.O.? We gonna get into T.O. What's coming up next for T.O.
I'm just being keep going, man.
But yeah. So step one, you gotta be talented. I would say step two, you have to find your sound and get the quality of your sound up. So that taking a lot of shots. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're not putting out the song, you have to treat it like a business where you're really in that studio and really putting the grind in and day out, week in and week out.
Advice from me that I would say for up and coming artists is to really treat yourself as a business. Learn marketing. Learn, obviously, in the first and foremost, learn your sound, but learn your why. Why are you doing this? You know what I'm saying? Anything you do in life, you got to figure out why you're doing this. If it's just to get money and get girls, that'll die out very quick.
Yeah.
Very quick, that'll die out. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if you want to become an artist and have that as your profession and as your job, because at the end of the day, it's a dream, but it is a job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to conduct yourself as a business or as an entity. You know what I'm saying?
And a business that's maybe not going to make a single cent for that first 5 years. So that's why, especially if you're doing it these days for money and girls, you definitely need to go somewhere else because it is a longer grind than it's probably ever been. It also can be quicker because you can catch fire on a TikTok. It's songs going crazy on TikTok, people getting famous from TikTok. But if you don't have those first two steps of one being actually talented and two putting in the work so you're ready for that fame, then you're going to have that one hit. And then now everybody's looking at you. Where's the classic album? Where's your story? What do we know about you?
But you know, it's so funny, which I agree 100% on that. I think you said a really important word there. You can get famous off of TikTok. Fame dies out quick. Fame also does not equate to money. That's why I think this generation, a lot of people are our age, older, younger, it doesn't really matter, think that notoriety comes with money. Structure comes with money.
Okay.
Learning how to do that. And I think with artists right now, everyone wants to. I got a homie in LA. His name is Uriel B. Shout out to Uriel B. Shout out to the RTR music out there in Los Angeles. He's been doing some dope things in sync licensing. And like, of course, he's an artist that wants to be on billboards one day, and I believe he'll get there. But the thing is, though, like with him, I'm like, his music is getting on movies, he's getting on shows, and it's coming with a check. Yeah. And so people aren't thinking about, like, there's so many different ways to play the game of being an artist. It's like, people think it's a one-way street. It's really like Houston and like 610 Loop and 59, and it's so many different routes.
So is that just taking the initiative to reach out to people in different industries? Is that getting a team? How like, what's your advice to them to actually get to the point where they can get money and sponsorships?
Research. You don't have to have a hit to have a good song that can be placed in a movie. You know what I'm saying? Or like an up-and-coming film or whatever the case may be. You will then have to like put a price on yourself and your art and figure out your contracts and all that. And I'm not here to be your business consultant on that part. But however the case may be is there's a lot of, I guess the advice out of that is there's a lot of ways to skin that cat and to be an artist that you can eventually one day figure out a way to make some money out of it. If you like you said, which I agree with, if you think you about to get in this game and just make a quick buck, no,
it's not happening.
It's not happening nowadays because the game's so many. You got to cut through the fat, but cutting through the fat is research. You can do research by yourself.
Yeah,
Google,
right,
your phone, structure, figuring out who you are, what do you want to put out, and how you want to put it out. And then you go from there. Then it's just about getting the music. And the hardest part is getting the music in the right people's hands. That's hard. Because then that's networking. That's handshakes and being right place, right time and figuring that out. Done that.
But you got to have all the other steps first.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a double-sided coin. The same thing that's horrible is the same thing that's great, meaning the oversaturation of music can make you get lost in the sauce, but also that oversaturation shows you that it's a low barrier of entry. So as far as starting, as far as getting the equipment, as far as getting the beats, as far as, practicing your craft, that has become easier. But now you have to go even harder to get where you actually want to be, because you just don't want to put out albums. You want people to hear your music, and you want people to hear your story. Correct. And you want to have those connections that Shep is talking about.
For sure. And I think the main thing to it, and this is for up-and-coming artists that want to make artistry their lifestyle. Yo, if you just want to throw some stuff on Spotify and Apple Music, you don't really need that much to go ahead and do that. You know, go to the studio, make you a little track or two, put it out on put it through DistroKid, and may God be the glory. But at the end, but for those who really want to take that next step to like get their music played, like music paid for their living, and I'm talking about regular living, I'm talking about middle class living, because I think everybody's
middle class. That's a lot. Middle class is leaving. So if you make a middle class off of music, you made it,
man. Because I think a lot of people have this falsity, because this is not the 90s,
right?
It's not the 80s, it's not the early 2000s where Def Jam or Capitol Records or Universal was coming straight to you and be like, we see potential in this 19-year-old kid. Here's $5 million to go figure it out.
Nah, you got to figure it out first, and then keep showing it over and over again, and have proof of concept times 10 these days.
Right, and
then you might even want their money at that point. You better off building your own infrastructure and partnering.
They were signing kids back in the Gap that had no records ever put out.
Yeah, they were.
Even like Neo was a part of a group, and they all moved to like, was it LA or did they move to Vegas?
I'm thinking Usher, Justin Bieber, that certain connections like that. They like, oh, he can sing. Okay, bring him in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can make something out of this.
Yeah, he can sing, and he or she can sing, and they got the look.
Right, they got the look.
They got the look.
Yeah.
I can do something with this. It's not that age anymore. You gotta have something else on your own, which I don't want to go into the ownership bag and whatever, because I think some people, this is actually a conversation we might not have to have it today, but we can pin it. I think a lot of people today want to be artists. They don't want to be businessmen or businesswomen. And I think when it comes to that, that's where the labels really are helpful for those people, where they can just go la-di-da-di-da and be artists.
Yeah.
Now, you can get your back kicked in,
right,
and some extra money, a lot of money taken out of your checks.
But also, that's why your first message is so powerful, because the more people realize that they're not supposed to be the artist, now you can help your friend or your cousin or the dude down the street that together. You know that should be the artist. You can be that businessman. You can just go ahead and go to business school or learn. You don't even got to go to school necessarily. You can learn on your own and just be his manager, and y'all both learning as y'all go.
And guess what? When you not the artist, you can sleep. I'm not saying the artist can't sleep peaceful at night, but it takes a strong person to like all that attention and be okay with it.
Yeah.
Man, my mama used to always say to me, like, joke, when I was in college, I was starting this TO thing, and I've started doing interviews, and they started getting a good amount of views, whatever case may be. And there was something that happened. I forget the exact story. No, I remember. I think I'm just keep that between her and I. My mama looked at me and was like, man, look, how famous you want to be? I'm 20 at the time. I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, you don't like being bothered. You don't like people in your business. You don't like certain things, but you do have a hard work ethic, and you're working on something over here that's going to cause you to be known. So you got to ask yourself, how famous do you want to be? I say that for a bunch of artists to say, how famous do you want to be? Or what's a realistic notoriety point that you want to get to? And maybe have that in your back of your mind, like you might not want to go past that point.
Right.
It has nothing to do with money. It's just that it's attention and having those eyes on you. Everyone is not built for that.
Not at all.
I've seen that. The more I get into this industry, the more I get my footing out there, the more I've seen that cookie crumble for a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say no names because that's fake, and I wouldn't say some of the things I've seen. But you just be like, ooh, that's not as glittery as I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. That's fool's gold.
Right.
And, hate to be so serious on WeTM, but...
No, this isn't a place just for laughs. It's a place for serious conversations, and people need to hear these things so they can make informed decisions. One thing that you've encouraged me to do, because I do think that it's needed for people to have a space where they can figure out whether or not their music is good, is I'm publicly inviting anyone who does see this, feel free to send me your music. I'll give it a listen. I won't cut it off after the first 5 seconds if I'm not immediately into it, and I will give you honest feedback. And this may turn into maybe a live where I listen to it live if I'm that bold and we get that many submissions. But I want to give people a chance to get their music listened to outside of just their immediate circle. So feel free to send me your music at any time at WeTM23 on Instagram. You can find me through the link in the bio. But I want us to be able to be more honest with each other. So I'm gonna extend that invite, and I'm gonna promise to be honest whether I like it or not.
Yeah, what he said. Make sure y'all hit his email. He said his email. Send him that music. I'm not gonna say the exact same thing. However the case may be, if he needs another listening ear and in the session, I'll be around.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I'm all for listening to new music, and it's a whole lot of talented people out there. Like,
it is.
As much as we joke and as much as we're also serious at the same time up here, there's a lot of talented people right out there. It's a lot of artists, but there is a lot of ways to become an artist without the stereotypical main stage thing that we think about. It's people that make living as background singers. It's people that make music as make livings as songwriters, as sound engineers in studios, as all sorts of different types of creatives that's around. It's a billion-dollar industry for a reason, and it's just not off the artist.
Right.
So if you love music and you love artistry, and if you love that and you have that passion and drive for it, it might not be your story to be the main artist. But if you are that main artist and you have that main character syndrome, and you have that burning desire in your heart, don't listen to me. Listen to yourself. Listen to what you got going on in your own brain. Listen to what God is telling you, and you gonna make that happen. So we can have this conversation in person, and you can talk to JB and I on WeTM, or you could be a talented one yourself. So
absolutely. And the last key I'll give to the artists who are supposed to be artists, we talked about figuring out if your music good. We talked about the branding. We talked about the structure. We talked about the business. We talked about understanding what your story is and how to market it. The last thing I would give to people who have all that is consistency. Don't give up. If you if you're starting to see some traction, even if you plateau a little bit, if you have some of those things that we're talking about, and you have good music, because we always got to keep the main thing, then stay consistent and understand it's a long game, and you can make it exactly where you want to be.
Correct. Most artists are blowing up in their late 20s now, mid to late 20s. It's not like the stories back in the day when people were blowing up at 16, 17. Even though you still have a lot of those stories nowadays too. I like that, staying consistent, and then I don't want to last word this, because I hate when people do that. But like also know when to pivot. And that's not saying pivot away from artistry, but just like pivot into something else. Meaning in maybe your music type, maybe like you tried something and it worked to the masses. You might not have cared for it, but lean into that. Be okay with like not making it in the way that you thought in your head, because it's never gonna look like what you exactly thought it was supposed to look like.
And even when you do that pivot, think about a Kanye, think about, I'm blanking on other names, you may get in this way, and then now it's time to bring that music back out. So just because you pivot and start doing something else, whether that's management, producing, whatever the case may be, that doesn't mean your music career is now over. Still keep making music, have that studio at the crib and keep cooking up, and then you can bring that back out one day, maybe not. Because again, the first rule by my boy Shep was everyone not meant to be an artist. But for the ones who are, I'm not saying to quit just because you don't make it after a couple years. You know what I'm saying? So I hope y'all felt that. I hope y'all heed to that advice.